Good afternoon, everyone. So today is lecture number 17 of this heat treatment class, and today's topic are conclusion to the special heat treatments, that is Mark tempering and Oss tempering, which we have already discussed in the previous lecture. And second one is the sub-zero heat treatment, and the last one is the patenting heat treatment. So these are the today's contents. So if you have remember this graph, this data, where I have shown different heat treatment conditions. Steel is same. Just imagine you have a particular this steel 0.9 weight percent is carbon steel, and the treatments are different. One is water quenched and tempered. That means the steel has austenitized, then it has water quenched, and then tempering has done, right? And second one is mar tempered. That means mar tempering heat treatment has given to this weight percentage carbon steel. And another is the Oss tempered, right? That means Oss tempering has done on this given weight percentage carbon steel, right? Different heat treatment has given, and these are the different mechanical properties. Here it is written. So the interesting thing you can see here is this one, Oss tempered. So that means you can see the Oss tempered steel is having a hardness value of 52, which is just very close to the mar tempered steel, water quenched and tempered steel. Very close to this. So you can say that if we are doing Oss tempering, till we can maintain high hardness value in the steel. Right? This is one part. And you can see the impact test results. Impact test result. You can see the impact test result is very good for this one. Right? Upon doing an IZOD impact test, we get this result. That means the steel can absorb a lot of energy before fracture. That is 56. But here in this case, it is 16 and 35, very low. Right? So you can conclude here is, if we want a high impact strength or a high impact resistance, then Oss tempering is a very good heat treatment, because it will provide you high hardness value. And you remember, if hardness will be very high, then wear resistance will be also higher. If you rub the material with any other material, the material will not remove from the surface. It provides high wear resistance. The second one is, we can have a high impact resistance or impact strength by doing Oss tempering, right? And the last one is also very interesting. Elongation is a property which will give you ductility, how much ductility the material have. Percentage elongation, you can understand. So it is 9, but it is nearly 0, you can see. So that means after doing Oss tempering of this weight percentage carbon steel, we have high hardness value, we have high impact resistance, we have high ductility. So that means Oss tempering heat treatment is very important. Whenever we need high hardness, that means whenever we need high wear resistance, whenever we need high toughness or high impact resistance or high impact strength, and whenever we need a ductility in the materials, right? Not brittleness in the materials. So material will not break easily. It will not break by brittle fracture. So Oss tempering heat treatment is very interesting. And if you remember, Oss tempering heat treatment will give you what? It will give you benite phase, basically. That means the austenite will transform into benite. So that's why always you have to remember, benite phase is very important for a particular application where we need high hardness, high wear resistance, high toughness, and high ductility also, right? But you understand, tempered means martensite will be there. Water quenched and tempered means tempered martensite will be there, right? These are the microstructure you'll obtain here, but here you'll obtain benitic microstructure. Basically, in Oss tempering, we mainly desire to have lower benite. So that's why I told you in the previous class, lower benite is a very important microstructure in steel, which is having a good property compared to that of a tempered martensite. If you compare the tempered martensite with this lower benite have a high hardness, high strength, ductility, right? High impact strength, and it has high toughness, as I told. It has high fatigue strength also, right? All things are there in the Bainitic phase, lower bainitic phase. Now we'll discuss about this next. Okay, fine. We'll conclude this topic: Mart tempering and Aus tempering. So this is Mart tempering and this is Aus tempering, right? So you remember in Aus tempering, in Mart tempering we convert austenite into martensite, right? But in Aus tempering we convert austenite into bainite phase, right? So final microstructure is martensite here. The final microstructure is bainite. So that's why after doing Mart tempering, we are also doing tempering. We can temper this martensite to get tempered martensite further, right? And you remember the procedure. So procedure is written over here and the procedure is written over here. Fine. Now the question comes, for Mart tempering, we need alloy steels basically. That means alloy steels are more preferable for Mart tempering. There is a very good reason behind that, which we'll discuss in coming lecture, when we will discuss about the effect of alloying element on the heat treatments, on iron carbon phase diagram, or on TTT diagram or CCT diagram. What will happen to the TTT curve, CCT curve, to the iron carbon system when we change the alloying element or when we add alloying element into the iron carbon system. So we'll discuss that soon. But for here, I can say here is alloy steels are more preferred for Mart tempering because due to two main reasons. You have to remember that. This topic is important for your examination point of view. If we have an alloy steels basically shift the nose of the C curve in the TTT diagram towards right side basically. So what will happen? Martensite formation will be easier upon doing air cooling itself. Just by doing air cooling, we can generate martensite. Do not have to go for quenching or very rapid cooling, right? So you understand that is basically, that term is called hardenability. We'll discuss that again in coming lectures about hardenability in details. So hardenability increases with increasing in the alloying content in the steels, right? So obviously Mart tempering means we want martensite. If we have an alloy steels, we can easily generate martensite just by doing air cooling. Or you can call alloying element increases the hardenability, right? So this is one part. And the second part is, whenever we have alloying element in the steels, it increases the incubation period. That is very interesting again. Let me see how many of you have remembered the incubation period in TTT diagram. Can you people tell me what is the meaning of incubation period? Suppose this is the TTT diagram here. What is the incubation period here? This is the temperature, this is the time. What is the incubation period means? Nobody have remember the incubation period in a TTT diagram? Okay, just let me give you a hint. What is this line represent? This line represent what?
Transformation start point.
Very good. And this line represent?
Transformation end.
Transformation end? Can you repeat?
Line. Transformation end line.
Line. This is a line, but these are made up of single points. So each point represent what? This line will form by joining one single point. So each point represent what? Let me see. You can answer. Already these things I have discussed in IPM and here also. I have remember.
Each point.
Okay, how many of you have remember how to draw a TTT diagram? Suppose I will give you a piece of steel. How you will draw a TTT diagram? I will hand over you a steel and I want a TTT diagram for that steel. How you will draw it?
Sir, we will cool the steel sample with different cooling rates, and we can see when the transformation start and when the transformation end, and according to
Yes,
that we can
very
draw.
good, very good, very good, Very good, very good. So that means you have to first make the steel into various small pieces, then you austenize each pieces, then you cool it in a different cooling rate. For Banati transformation, you have to quench it, and again you have to hold it, right? So you'll get at what time the transformation will start and at what time transformation will end, right? So each point represent what now? Now can you tell me? Each point will represent. This line will form by joining all the points. So each dot or each point in the curve represent what? Transformation start time, transformation end time. This is the time axis, right? Yes or no? You people got the point?
Yes, sir.
What about others? Pratiksha, you understand what each point represents?
Yes, sir.
So you have to take different piece of steel. Suppose I will first hold the steel here, right? So I will get a time of this much transformation start time, and this is transformation end time. Done. Then I will bring another piece of steel. I will hold the steel over here. Then I'll see the transformation start at this time and it will end at this time. Similarly, I will hold the steel at this point. Then transformation start at this time and transformation end at this time. Like this, I will do, right? So finally, I will get each points. So I will connect each point and I will get a transformation start line and I will end up with a transformation end line. It is okay right now?
Sir, sir,
Yes.
each point on this curve represent both temperature and time, x coordinate
Obviously,
and y coordinate. Yes.
obviously,
So
obviously,
we
you will
can.
get two things.
Yes,
No?
sir.
That's
So
why I
we.
told you have to hold at a particular. See, you have to keep the temperature constant. Then only you'll get the time, right?
Yes, sir.
This TTD diagram. Other name is called what? What is the other name of TTD diagram? Nobody have remember what is the other name of TTD diagram?
Sir,
It is
CCT.
also called IT diagram. IT diagram. Isothermal
I
transformation diagram.
actually so I,
Isothermal means at a constant temperature, you have to cool the steel. If you are cooling the steel at a constant temperature, you'll get a transformation start time and transformation end time. Yes or no now? It is okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's why I told you have to keep the steel at this temperature and you have to see at what time the transformation will start and at what time transformation will end. So you'll get many dots. Then you have to join all the dots. Then you'll get everything. Transformation start line and transformation finish line. Okay, what I were discussing? I were discussing about alloy steels. Yeah. So now can you people remember what is incubation period? I have given you enough hint.
So the total time between the start and end point.
No. Incubation period means the time from this one to this one. Suppose I will hold the steel here at this temperature. So transformation will start from this time, right? This much of time transformation will start, but transformation will not start if the time period is this one, or if the time period is this one, or if the time period is this one, right? For this temperature, transformation will start at this time. So the from this time to this time, the time gap is called incubation period. Now you people understand what is the incubation period?
Yes, sir.
So okay, how many of you have remember why incubation period is higher at this temperature and also higher at this temperature, but it is lower at this temperature? Let me see how many of you have remember. You people have got my question? Shall I repeat the question or you people have got the question? Why the incubation period is high at this point and also high at this point, but it is less at this point?
Sir, because of diffusion is high at high temperature and low temperature.
Very good. Diffusion is high at high temperature. Then what will happen?
Sir, if diffusion is high, then the undercooling will be low. Low driving force.
Yes, what you are saying, diffusion is high means high driving force.
Low driving force.
Low driving force. Okay. Then.
So transformation will be slow.
Okay. Okay, do you people have forgotten everything? Whenever we want to have a transformation, there are two different stages. The first stage is the nucleation stage, and second stage is the growth stage, right? Nucleation stage means a tiny nuclei will form, which should have a critical size, so that it will grow into a bigger size during growth stage, right? So nucleation stage means here austenite phase is the stable phase. When we go down this temperature, austenite become unstable and a new nuclei will start forming, which is the product phase. So that depends upon, so nucleation, there is a nucleation rate and there is a growth rate, right? So nucleation rate is directly proportional to the what? Nucleation rate is directly proportional to the undercooling. If you do more undercooling, what will happen? More driving force will be available, right? So that means if I will go more below this temperature, more driving force will be available. So more driving force will be available means nucleation rate will be more. Nucleation rate will be more means more number of nuclei will form at a less interval of time, right? So and the thing is the growth rate, right? Growth rate means growth rate is directly proportional to the diffusion rate. If the diffusion rate will be high, growth rate will be high, right? And growth rate will depends upon diffusion rate, right? So diffusion rate will depend upon the temperature. If the temperature is high, diffusion will be more. If diffusion will be more, growth rate will be more, right? So you understand at this point, both are optimum. Growth rate is good, nucleation rate is also good, right? So that is why incubation period is less, right? At the nose of the C curve. At the nose of the C curve, the incubation period is less. Your transformation start earlier and also finish earlier. Why? Because the growth rate is good, nucleation rate is good. But if you go above this, suppose I am taking this point. You can see temperature is high, but undercooling is less because the temperature here and temperature here is difference is less. So undercooling is less, but temperature is high. Since temperature is high, diffusion is high. Diffusion is high means growth rate is high, but undercooling is less means driving force is less. Driving force is less means nucleation rate is less. Since the nucleation rate is less, nucleation is taking more time. So what happens? So incubation period is high, right? Similarly, if I will take this point, at this point, I have more driving force, right? Because undercooling is high. But nucleation rate is good. But diffusion rate is less because the temperature is very low. So growth rate will be low. So that's why, again, transformation will be delayed, right? I think you people have understood this one. I think I have explained this one 3 to 4 times right now. Anyways, so now what is the question I'm discussing here? Alloy steel. So if we have alloy steels, you understand this curve will shift to the right side, basically. So transformation will be delayed. Transformation will not start easily. So that will help in the martensite formation again during this smart tempering process. Because you understand here what we are doing. We are keeping the steel over here. After taking to the austenitizing temperature, I am quenching to this point, which is above MS. So if incubation period will be high, what will happen? Transformation will not happen to the bainite. The bainite may form. So bainite will not form because incubation period is high due to alloying content. So that's why then you are doing air cooling to get martensite easily. It is clear, or shall I repeat this one? Why alloy steels are preferred in case of Mart tempering? Shall I repeat, or you people can answer it?
Sir, please repeat.
Okay, first point, you people have understood what is the significance
Yes,
of
sir.
alloy steels? About
Yes, sir.
hardenability.
Yes, sir.
Hardenability. See, hardenability simply means easy to form martensite. Martensite will be easily formed. Easily formed means without doing rapid quenching or a faster rate of cooling, you will get martensite. Right? Just by doing air cooling, for example. By doing a normalizing, you will get martensite. Right? So we want martensite. So alloy steels helps in the formation of martensite. That is done. But another point is, if alloying content will be more or alloying additions will be there in the steels, that will increase the incubation period. Incubation period, you people have understood, right? So that means alloying content will delay the transformation. Transformation will start at a late time. It will take more time for the transformation to start and end, right? So alloying content will delay the transformation. So it will be beneficial. Why? Because this is the curve, cooling curve for the Mart tempering. Because you are quenching to this point first. You have to hold the steel for some interval of time. So during this time, holding time, it should not be transformed into benite, right? Transformation should not start. So that is the benefit here. Then after holding to a certain interval of time, you are doing cooling in air. That will convert into martensite. You people have understood now? What is the significance of alloy steel? Or why it is preferred? Okay, you will get the question in the exam, definitely. Now you can see for Aus tempering, thinner cross sections steel are preferred. Can you people answer this one? Already we have discussed this one in the previous class. Why thinner cross section steels are preferred for Aus tempering? Okay, let me show. This is the image. Yes. Yes, Gyano, you want to speak?
No, sir.
Just look at the two cooling curves. That is the answer. Already I have explained this one in the previous class.
Sir, if that is thinner, the surface and core will cool nearly at the same rate.
Yes, very good, very good. So you understand we have two cooling curve. One cooling curve is this one for the center. That means the cooling rate is slow at the center or at the core of the steel piece. But this one is for the surface. Surface will cool at a very fast rate because it is exposed to the atmosphere, right? But if the cross section is thin, if the steel cross section is thinner one, so cooling rate will be equal, you can consider. That means at the core, at the center, and at the surface, the cooling rate will be equal. That will be beneficial for the austenite to benite transformation, right? You can get a single cooling curve at least. But if you have a thicker cross section, then that is a problem. What is the problem? Can you answer in opposite way? If you have a thicker cross section, what kind of problem will face during Aus tempering? What kind of problem will face? Let me see, you can answer. If you have a thicker cross section still, you are doing Aus tempering. So what is the problem? The hint is transformation will be something different.
Sir, the center may start transformation in the center because due to slow cooling.
Center will start transforming into what?
Due to start transforming into benite.
We want benite. In Aus tempering, our main aim is to get benite.
Sir, perlite.
Yes, obviously it may transform into perlite. Why?
Because it will touch the nose of the C curve.
Yes, because the cooling rate will be slower. If you have a thicker cross-section steel, cooling rate at the surface will be faster, but at the core or at the center, it will be slow. Slow cooling rate will lead to easy phase transformation. It may touch the nose of the curve as he told. So transformation of the center or the core will become perlitic transformation. Fine perlite may form. but the surface will convert into benite. But our purpose of heat treatment will be not fulfilled because we want entire cross section of the steel should be benite one. Now you people have understood now what is the problem with thicker cross section and thinner cross section, and why thinner cross section is chosen here or preferred for OS tempering. It is clear?
Yes, sir.
Shall I move on, or I will discuss more about this? Okay, fine. All the things I have explained over here, right? So final conclusion of the topic is actually MAR tempering and OS tempering are more beneficial as compared to that of the conventional hardening and tempering treatment, because conventional hardening and tempering treatment are actually conventional hardening treatment will give you a steel with more amount of residual stresses, right? And it is brittle one basically, which is not beneficial. But OS tempering will give you benitic structure, which is tougher, ductile, more harder, right?
Sir, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Abhay.
So can you zoom in into the slide, sir? I can't read it properly.
It is okay right now? It is okay right now?
Sir, on the first row, I can't read it properly. Yes, yes, better, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. So you people have understood this one, why MAR tempering and OS tempering are special heat treatments. It is why it is good compared to that of those conventional hardening and tempering heat treatment, right? All the things are written over here. And there is another interesting point. Property of OS tempered steel are uniform throughout the cross section. Why? Can anybody tell me? Property of OS tempered steels are uniform throughout the cross section. Why?
So because of thinner cross section.
Thinner cross section. Okay, forget about thinner cross section. Anything else? Just look at the TTD diagram and cooling curves. Because you are doing holding at a constant temperature. If holding will be done at a constant temperature, the temperature will become uniform everywhere in the materials. So everywhere the transformation will be same. So the property will be uniform. That is the answer. OS tempering is done at a constant temperature. Holding is done at a constant temperature. Lower benitic region. Constant holding temperature means temperature is uniform everywhere in the material. Every grain is at a uniform temperature, you can imagine. So transformation will be uniform. So property will be uniform. That is the answer. Okay, fine. So now we'll move to the sub-zero heat treatment. Sub-zero heat treatment is see, listen it carefully. Sub-zero heat treatment is basically followed after hardening heat treatment, or it is a heat treatment just before the tempering heat treatment basically. Suppose you have a steel and you want to do hardening heat treatment on it to get martensitic structure, right? So what happens? All the austenite will not transform into martensite. Basically, it happens when we are dealing with alloy steels or when we are dealing with high carbon steels. So this is one of the major problem with high carbon steels and alloy steels. So whenever you are dealing with high carbon steels or medium carbon steels or sometimes with high alloy steels, all the austenite will not transform into martensite during hardening process or hardening heat treatment. So some of the austenite will remain untransformed into martensite. So this untransformed austenite is called retained austenite. You people have understood right now? So this retained austenite is a major issue. So that means after hardening heat treatment of an alloy steel or an high carbon steels, we have a microstructure containing martensite as well as some retained austenite, right? And retained, you understand, austenite is a soft phase, ductile phase as compared to that of martensite. Martensite is a very hard phase. but written austenite is a soft phase, ductile phase. So what will happen? The mechanical property will deteriorate. That is the weaker site where the crack may happen, right? Where there is a written austenite, right? So mechanical property will be poor due to presence of written austenite. So another problem may get, you can have some residual stresses in the material because this written austenite may transform into other phases which may change the volume of the material. Due to this kind of transformation, suppose you are doing tempering, right? So this written austenite may transform into benite, or it may transform into perlite or ferrite, right? So there is a volume change will be there during tempering heat treatment after hardening. So due to change in the structure, the volume will change. The volume will change means it will bring some residual stresses in the material. So that is another issue we have. So these are the two main issues if we have a written austenite. The first issue is written austenite is a soft phase, ductile phase as compared to that of martensite. So strength will be poor. Mechanical property will be poor in the steel. And second one is this written austenite may transform into what? Maybe benite or maybe perlite or maybe ferrite during tempering heat treatment. So that will change the volume of the material. So that will bring residual stresses in the material. And residual stresses are a issue to the property during the service, you understand, right? So that means our main issue is we should not have any kind of residual austenite or written austenite in the material. We should have only martensite in the material. So what we do basically do, we do this kind of heat treatment that is called sub-zero heat treatment. So that means after doing hardening heat treatment, we have to take the steel to a sub-zero temperature. That is basically suppose minus 20 degrees centigrade or minus 17 degrees centigrade, like that, or below minus 20 degrees centigrade. So what will happen if you take the steel, if you take the as hardened steel to a sub-zero temperature, the written austenite will transform into martensite. That means after sub-zero heat treatment, we will have only martensitic structure in the material, in the steel, right? So this is the thing. So now, you can correlate that one with this one. Can you people tell me what is this? What is this showing? Let me see. Achha, which kind of plot is this? Which kind of plot is this? Just tell me quickly. It is already, everything is available. Which kind of plot is this?
Sir, temperature and time. Like
Yeah,
versus
temperature and time. But what is the name? What is the name of this plot?
Sir, reconstructive or displacive?
Okay, fine. Reconstructive displacive. But what is the main name of this? Just give a one single name to this plot. TTT diagram, yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Temperature is there, time is there, and transformation is happening. So TTT diagram, time, temperature, transformation diagram, right? Or it is also called IT diagram, isothermal transformation diagram. Okay, fine. So what kind of transformation is here happening here in this condition? What kind of transformation is happening? And what to what?
Austenite to perlite.
Austenite to perlite, very good. And what kind of transformation is happening here?
Sir, benitic.
How starting phase is what?
Sir, austenite.
Austenite to what?
So end product is benite.
Very good. And what kind of transformation is happening here? So my question is, what is this what is this one? What is this one? What temperature is this?
So
Martensitic start temperature.
Very good. This is MS, martensitic start temperature. Above this temperature, austenite will remain as austenite. But below this temperature, if you do continuous cooling and it is not touching the nose of the curve, then martensite will start forming, right? And what is this temperature?
Martensite end temperature.
Or martensite MF, martensite finish temperature or end temperature. Anyways, MF, martensite finish temperature. So that means below this temperature, what kind of phase will be there?
Only martensite.
Very good. Suppose I will hold the steel at this temperature. What will happen? I am doing continuous cooling and I am holding the steel at this temperature. What will happen? Tell me quickly.
Sir,
Initially my steel is
martensite.
here. Listen the question carefully. Initially my steel is here, then I am quenching at a faster rate and I am reaching up to this point and I am holding the steel over here. What will happen?
Sir, 50% martensite and 50% unstable austenite.
Okay, fine. Very good. You understood now. It is more than 50% actually, because 50% is here means it is more than 50%. So that means at the what is the resultant microstructure of the steel I have right now? What is the resulting microstructure of the steel at this temperature? Just before I told you something.
Unstable
What is the
austenite and
result?
martensite.
Yes, we will have a microstructure with martensite and retained austenite. You people have understood right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So you have to remember, we'll discuss that again. You have to remember this MS temperature and this MF temperature changes. It may go up, it may go down. Or in other words, I can say the martensite start temperature and martensite finish temperature may rise up or it may go down. It may go down. That means the MF temperature and MS temperature are variable. It depends upon the carbon percentage. It depends upon the austenite grain size. It also depends upon the alloying content. We'll discuss that in the coming lectures in a brief way, right? So you understand, if you want 100% martensite, you do not want any kind of retained austenite, then that means you have to cool the steel from this temperature to below MF, right? You have to cool the steel below MF. Then only you will get 100% martensite. You do not get any kind of retained austenite. But retained austenite will be there if you have a alloy steel and if you have a high carbon steel, basically. So can you people conclude it? Can you correlate this one? Why, what happens basically in case of alloy steel so that we are getting some retained austenite? The hint already I have given you. The MF and MS temperature are not fixed. And if you want 100% martensite, then you have to
The
go to below
MF is
MF.
going down.
Yes, very good, very good. Sivas is excellent. So that means in case of high carbon steels and this alloy steel, what happens? This MS and MF go down. Sometimes it will go down below the room temperature. But basically in the normal condition, we are quenching to what temperature? Basically, to what temperature we are quenching the steel? To the room temperature basically, or just below the room temperature. But if the MF temperature will go below the room temperature, suppose so it going to -10 degree, for example, or it is going to -5 degree. So what will happen basically? You will have a martensite and retained austenite. That is the main issue. So that's why we have to give sub-zero heat treatment. We have to take the steel again to the sub-zero temperature so that all the retained austenite will become martensite. Then you can go for tempering treatment. Now I think you people have understood this part.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So okay, I will stop over here and then I will continue the lecture from the next class. If you have any doubt, you can ask me right here. Otherwise, you can call me.